for some girl who doesn't even know he exists!
I'll kill you!
Can't you just listen to me once in your worthless life? Because if you did, you'd see I'm trying to teach you some simple responsibility.
You know, you guys were right all along. These burgers are outstanding.
I've covered every single episode of Regular Show at one point or another, and in that time I have been analyzing, I have been studying, and I have just been enjoying all of the comments for specific episodes where people just have a hill that they will die on. Whether it's they want to defend a character, whether they will hate a character, people will have all-out wars in the comments. And that's what I want to bring up today. I want to look at the top 5 most controversial episodes of Regular Show. And I'm not talking about specific episodes like Merry Christmas Mordecai, where it's obvious that you could pinpoint who the problem is, and that being Mordecai cheating on his girlfriend. I'm talking about scenes and episodes in the show where people genuinely don't know which side to pick, and it will usually start a war in the comments. And if you have an opinion about any of these episodes, please feel free to share it. And if you're reading that opinion that somebody just shared, share your opinion right under it, especially if it doesn't collide with their opinion, and just start an all-out war about this show that is anything but regular. And if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. At 30k, I'm going to be cosplaying as Muscle Man and doing a hot dog eating contest. And if you want a place where you can talk about your favorite cartoons, movies, shows, games, my Discord will be in the description. Now let's find out the 5 most controversial episodes of Regular Show. And we're kicking it off strong with the episode It's Time. You know who else likes to try to steal his friend's girlfriend, the girl that he's been interested in for so long? Rigby. Rigby, this entire episode, is very insufferable. And then you also have Mordecai, who in his own way is also being insufferable, and when you mash that together, it, to me, creates one of the worst episodes of Regular Show, one of the worst ones that they've ever created, an episode where you hate both of the main characters. And in that time of watching this episode and talking about it, so many people will immediately defend which character they want to. It's either Mordecai or it's Rigby. Rigby, throughout this entire episode, he just desperately wants Mordecai to come to the movie with him so unbelievably badly. So much so that when Mordecai says, "Sorry dude, I had my own plans, I already bought movie tickets to another movie, we should have planned this, we should have correlated better, I'm gonna try and ask out Margaret," Rigby is like, No, you're not. Starts telling jokes, starts cracking joke after joke after joke, and when he sees that Mordecai is jealous, which, you know, if he's a 24-year-old male at this point in the series, is it really that big of a deal that you're jealous and you have to defend it? I swear to God, sometimes Mordecai and Rigby have genuinely 13-year-old problems. And I know the show is made for teenagers to help them get through the hard points of life, but it's just so hard to believe that they are the age that they are sometimes. Either way, Mordecai is jealous, and Rigby is just going to keep pushing it more and more and more, to the point where he eventually asks out Margaret, and he wants to get all up in her, and just for the rest of the day, he's like, I'm gonna tongue Margaret, I hope she Margets me. Margaret always Margets my bad guy, if you know what I mean, Mordecai.
Is he not asking you out? Ooh, yeah, Margaret.
And he's just going on and on and on. Mordecai's getting more and more jealous, which eventually leads to Mordecai taking all the clocks, hiding them all so that there's no way that Rigby can know what time his date is. He microwaves him, and this is where we truly get to the point of the episode where, you know, people start arguing, because on one hand, yes, Rigby is being a dick the majority of this episode. Should Mordecai have made a move anyway and actually done something with his life? Yes, of course, but both of them really aren't helping each other out, and I would say at this point of this episode, Rigby is definitely being the worst person. He's just being a dick, he's being an asshole, all because Mordecai didn't want to do what he wanted to do. It's just very baby energy, very, oh my god, you don't want to hang out with me, I'm gonna take everything you want, except he's a Riz master, so good for him, I guess. So they get sucked into Father Time's dimension, they're riding on this microwave, and here is where you really have to question a lot of things. Okay, is Mordecai in the wrong or is Rigby in the wrong? Because Rigby, he's just saying that, oh, I wanted to hang out with my bro, but he shoves Mordecai. And we can't really tell the power of this shove, but I'm guessing that it was pretty hard. The reason it doesn't look very hard is because Rigby is a stubby little ass raccoon who has never went to the gym in his entire life, and is also not a 6-foot tall blue jay who tends to work out a little bit. So this shove probably did nothing, but I'm going to assume that this is a pretty hard shove from Rigby. And then Mordecai retaliates with a pretty hard shove. and he says at the same time, "I'll kill you," which does make it seem a little worse. Just a little bit. And so, he shoves him, and Rigby falls into the abyss, and Rigby literally dies.
Flaked on me for some girl who doesn't even know he exists.
I'll kill you!
Yeah, he disintegrates into ash, and Rigby is actually dead. Okay, so we could see a couple of problems here. We could see why people would attack Mordecai in this episode and say that Mordecai literally killed his friend over a girl, he's so bad, but there are a couple of points we have to look at. Rigby was a dick the entire episode. Did he deserve to die for any of that? No. But the only thing that I could really say defending Rigby's side here is that Rigby did push him first. And of course, Mordecai does redeem it right after this and get Rigby back, but I don't know. I would love to know what you guys think, because I guarantee you just this moment alone will cause a little bit of havoc down in the comments. Oh, people will be like, it's a jolly good show that Mordecai killed him because he deserved it so much. And other people will be like, it's a bad show. It's a very bad show because Rigby didn't deserve to die, and it's how could he do this? And yeah, it's just a very controversial moment in the show, because, I mean, you have to watch one of the main characters die. You could easily say that about the skips over the top episode as well, but I think that episode is significantly more hilarious than this one, so that's why this one's on the list and not that one. But either way, yeah, very divisive moment watching Rigby die. Now, the next episode that I always tend to look at when it comes to a controversial episode of regular show is the episode Think Positive, and I'm usually on the side that I love this episode, but a lot of people hate this episode, which always surprised me because I think this episode is honestly hilarious, but there are some key elements about it that I could see people hating. This episode follows Benson being very angry at Mordecai and Rigby. He's yelling at them for the smallest of things. Well, at each time, Pops is trying to, do something he enjoys, and he keeps getting interrupted by Benson's yelling. Benson is all like, "What, it's too hard to get the hose?" And Mordecai and Rigby are like, "But the hose!"
Yeah, but the hose!
Oh, what? It's too hard to get the hose?
And I just love that scene so much, because you just cut off one little part of it and it sounds like they're talking about hose. I like it. But either way, this eventually leads to Pops being very angry, and he calls Benson into the office and says, "Benson, I'm going to fire you if you yell at Mordecai and Rigby." And this is a very daunting task, because Mordecai and Rigby are just scum of the earth, the biggest idiots and the biggest slackers in the world, who honestly need a little bit of yelling, a little bit of kick in their step if you want them to do anything. And this episode just highlights that, and this is also kind of where you get to see the key elements that make people dislike this episode. It's kind of out of character for Pops to do this to Benson, for Pops to just randomly be like, "Oh, Benson, I am your boss, and you will do exactly what I say, or you're not going to be having a jolly good show. Oh, Lord." And so Benson now has to struggle with this, and he immediately walks outside, and Mordecai and Rigby are just sitting there, not working, not doing anything that he asked of them, and just talking about hose. Hose? How does a hose work? So I can see where this guy is coming from. He needs a little bit of anger, and so he's just struggling the entire rest of the episode, and Mordecai and Rigby are just at their absolute worst this episode. They just keep doing really dumb things while Benson is just trying his best. Like, Benson walks out in the living room at one point in the episode, and they've literally teared it apart, destroyed everything looking for the car keys, and then the car keys are seen being stolen. The car itself is seen being stolen by these random people, and so Benson rightfully screams. Pops comes out of nowhere and writes Benson up, and you just feel bad for this guy. And the episode continues, and where it really gets better for me, I would say, where it really gets hilarious is Benson's attempts to try to get better. Even though it is him suffering, it's basically a Benson torture episode, I still think it's hilarious. I get it, it sucks for him, but I still think it's funny. There's a scene where he's trying to just count to 100, and Mordecai and Rigby are covering themselves in paint and throwing them through the shed, and they see Benson counting. Literally, his blood or gumballs is pulsating through his head, and they decide to start counting with him.
90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96.
Just really funny scene. At least to me. He's still suffering the majority of the time, but I still think it's very funny. The episode continues. Benson tries to go to his house and just listen to, this tape to try and help him feel better, and it makes him have flashbacks of his father and Benson yelling to pass the salt, and Benson just, after all of this overwhelming feeling, he just stands up, drop kicks his TV, and throws his furniture out of his apartment. wild scene. Very wild scene. And the episode continues, and Benson's just getting more and more angry until eventually he's glowing, he's red, he starts floating upwards and turns into the literal sun, and then yells at Mordecai and Rigby when Pops finally gives in and lets him, and just screams and screams and screams.
Can't you just listen to me once in your worthless life? Because if you did, you'd see I'm trying to teach you some simple responsibility.
But I really like that his yell even has some positive tone to it, where Benson is just trying to teach them a lesson so that they'll be better at their jobs, and he wishes that they would just do their job so that he wouldn't have to be like this. It actually has a very good core message at the end of it, but either way, I can see where this episode can be a little bit divisive. Three characters are acting very different from how they usually would. Mordecai and Rigby, they're usually very dumb, but not to the extent where they're torturing Benson in a way, and they wouldn't continue to do that constantly over and over again for the rest of the episode. Usually they have more of a plot line to it, and then Pops is usually just that, oh lord, look at the butterfly, oh! But in this episode, he's very different from usual. I personally think this episode is hilarious. I love it, but I would love to know what you think about it, because a lot of people do not like Think Positive. The next episode we're going to be taking a look at is the episode Do Me a Solid, and this is one of my least favorite episodes in the entire series, yet I always still get the people in the comments who will defend this episode and say it's hilarious, and I'm going to just walk you through this episode, and I just want to understand, what do you seem to find so funny? In this episode, Eileen is checking out Rigby. He wants him so bad. I mean, she wants him so bad. She's just thirsting for that rig cock. Okay, I'm sorry. She's thirsting for him. She wants him so bad, which eventually leads to Mordecai, Margaret, Rigby, and Eileen all going on a double date together, while Mordecai and Rigby are doing solids for each other at the same time. The only way that Rigby would agree to do this was if Mordecai would give him 10 solids. And there we go. That's our episode plot. And Rigby is just being an insufferable douchebag for the entire episode. Honestly, just not fun at all. He gets there, he's just mean to Eileen, who is being very nice to him the entire time. He could at least, pretend to be a decent person for a small amount of time, and so Rigby is just continuing on, being horrible, while Mordecai is trying to have a decent date with Margaret, and, okay, this is where it's supposed to get really funny, right? Where the episode's supposed to kick up and really get me belly laughing, huh? So, Rigby decides to use all of his solids to make Mordecai basically look awful in front of Margaret. We get this one scene right before this, though, where Eileen, plants her sea turtle children.
Rigby, look at me! I just laid sea turtle eggs, and now I'm gonna swim out to sea. Although many of my hatchlings won't live to adulthood. That
was a great scene, but then it just goes very downhill for me. Okay. Hey Mordecai, do me a solid and make Margaret miss her shot. So Mordecai yells. That was really funny. That was probably one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in any show ever. And then we go to the next scene. Hey Mordecai, do me a solid and see if this tastes fishy. He bites it and then it's spicy, and so he just spits his food all over Margaret.
Mordecai, can you do me a solid and tell me if this burrito tastes fishy?
That was really funny. Wow, this is a really great episode so far. The episode continues. We go to the part of the episode where they're at the movies. What is Rigby gonna do now? Hey Mordecai, do me a solid and go get me some popcorn. Mordecai leaves, comes back. He has napkins for Rigby. Oh my god, how exciting. Rigby, hey Mordecai, do me a solid and take the heat for this. Makes a fart noise. Jolly good show! Jolly good show! Oh my lord, one of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life! Oh lord! Oh, let's go home and just hang out there! Oh lord! And then he tells Mordecai to take a shit on the floor, and he makes dump truck noises and then starts recording it in front of all his friends. I guess that's kind of funny, in a way, but it's also just not that funny. I don't know. I have so many people that defend this episode, and the reason I'm talking about it in such a monotonous tone is because I'm just so over it. I've had to talk about this episode so many times, and it never gets better. It genuinely doesn't get better the more you watch it. Rewatching it is a pain. I don't even have to watch any regular show episode anymore because it's just all in my head. But even just the memories of this episode when it's playing in my mind, it still sucks. It sucks so much. It's awful. So if you want to attack me in the comments and say, nah man, nah twin, you're wrong twin, it's a great episode. That's probably what people will say. I disagree with you. I don't think it's a good episode. But I do see people arguing about this episode a lot, so I'm going to keep it on the list. Now, the next episode we're going to be discussing is the episode The World's Best Burger. The majority of you watching this video knew that this was coming because how could it not be? Every single time I even remotely mention this episode, oh my god, it's like people will genuinely just forget about the topic of my video and just only talk about this one moment in this episode. This episode is all about the ooey gooey World's Best Burger. It's a burger stuffed inside of a burger, deep fried in a burger with extra burger, made with Himalayan sauce. I can taste the Himalayas! Yeah, it's supposed to be one of the best burgers ever. It only comes around every 100 years, and Mordecai and Rigby, they really want to try this burger. They want it so very badly. But Benson, he will not let them, because Benson just doesn't think they deserve it. They need to do all of their work, and Mordecai and Rigby, they didn't even finish their work from yesterday, so they need to actually finish their work if they want to be able to eat burgers. So we get all this entire montage of Mordecai and Rigby just wandering around, trying to do their work, but trying to sneak away, and Benson keeps stopping them, and a lot of people get mad at this. Part because they go to the legal specifics of it, like legally Benson should give them a lunch break because legally, according to 314 of the world law or whatever, something like that, workers are entitled to a lunch break. You don't know that. You don't know how a regular show works. It's anything but regular. Perhaps nobody's ever entitled to a lunch break. Just a courtesy. You don't know that. So that's not a very valid argument because it's a completely different world from ours. So Mordecai and Rigby, they're eventually cleaning out Skips' garage, and they make some fake versions of themselves to just sit there, made of glass, and to distract Benson long enough for them to go and get some ooey gooey, delicious, yummy, yummy, yummy in your tummy, tummy, tummy burgers. So they run, they're going, and Benson eventually does figure this out, but the glass people leave, and the glass people fight Mordecai and Rigby over these burgers. It's honestly a pretty decent fight. You got some classical music while they're just destroying these glass people. It's pretty enjoyable. I was all for it. I was having a good time. And in the meantime, Benson does show up, and Mordecai and Rigby set these burgers to the side, and Benson decides the right thing to do in this situation is to... Oh my god, another burger? Just to be a, gluttonous man. A very gluttonous man in this scene, and eats both of the burgers and just says, wow, you two really missed out. These burgers are really good.
You guys were right all along. These burgers are outstanding.
And just makes Mordecai and Rigby feel absolutely horrible about themselves, and Mordecai and Rigby never get to eat those burgers. And this is where it gets divisive. Should Benson have eaten those burgers? Because yes, Mordecai and Rigby have done a lot of things wrong in the past. They've done a lot of horrible things to Benson. They've probably stolen Benson's food. They don't get their work done. But at the same time, there's something so unsatisfying about not getting to watch Mordecai and Rigby eat those burgers. I feel like they learned their lesson eventually, because this episode felt really unsatisfying to me when I was watching it initially. I hated Benson so much in this moment. It's one of Benson's worst moments because I desperately wanted Mordecai and Rigby to get to eat those burgers. I wanted their reaction because those burgers looked good, and I wanted to see Mordecai and Rigby just go like, Himalayas, oh. I wanted that so bad. And then just couple that with the fact that a season later, Every Meat Burritos, at the end of that, they were just like, tastes like chicken, when they finally got to eat the Every Meat Burrito, and that was also unsatisfying. So now you had this major unsatisfying episode where they didn't get to actually enjoy the food, and then you have another unsatisfying episode where they didn't get to enjoy the food, and I feel like that just brings even more hatred back to Benson, because you just want our main characters to enjoy something that they've been working 11 minutes to get. And then you have the episode way later, VIP members, where they're eating the pork picnic sandwich, and they're literally all looking like they're about to bust everywhere. They're just like, oh, because it's just that good. That's what the best burger in the world should have ended with. I feel like people would love this episode a lot more if it was like that, but no. They decided to do a one-off Benson joke that genuinely took half of the fan base and made people just so angry at Benson, and the other half being like, yeah, Benson, stand up for yourself, man. But yeah, I don't know. This one always starts a war in the comments though, so that's why I have to talk about it, because it's just, it makes people really angry. But either way, I'm excited to watch what you're going to say about Benson eating those burgers. And the final episode that I'm going to be taking a look at for this list is the episode Dumped at the Altar. You know what's surprising? Is people do defend Mordecai in this situation. People do laugh at his speech. It's kind of weird to me, because every time I watch this, it just gets so much worse. It genuinely makes me just watch Mordecai and just go, why are you doing that? Why did they do this to Mordecai? What was the point of his character? What was the point of making him do something so unbelievably stupid? There was the point in Mordecai's story where it's like, okay, they're trying to teach us some lessons of what not to do. You know, they're trying to prepare us for the real world, teach us some things, and just get us ready, you know? I can appreciate that. But then we get all the way to Dumped at the Altar, where Mordecai, he's being a spaz the entire episode. He has a hot woman here, a hot woman there, they both want to be with him. Oh lord, the problems. And so he just doesn't know what to do, and this eventually leads to him hijacking Muscle Man's wedding, literally, right when Muscle Man and Starla are about to finish their wedding and just have it, you know, all be done. Holy matrimony, it could have been great. Mordecai takes this opportunity, not just, you know, taking into consideration anybody else, and just being like, who's the right person for me? Oh my gosh, I don't know who I want to be with. Do I want to be with my loving girlfriend who has been so nice to me and just took me back after I begged her to be with me for so long? Or do I want to be with that person? Or that person? Or that person?
Maybe it's that really old lady, I don't know.
Why are you talking?
Oh, right. My point is, I don't know.
It's just very hard to watch. It's really cringy. And just everything about it just ruins Mordecai's character for me and just kind of like puts him on a path of not being redeemable in a way, because there's just no moment where he even like reflects on this and is like, oh god, that was really stupid, or oh god, I don't know what I was doing, or oh god, I was trying to have good intentions, or oh god, I should have just talked to CJ in private. I just don't get where they were going with this. What was the intention when it comes to Mordecai's character arc? There's just no moment where I look at this and I'm like, wow, this is really helping Mordecai feel like he has a full character arc. Him hijacking his friend's wedding, looking like an idiot, losing his girlfriend. Wow, this is just so unbelievably lovely. This is everything I could possibly desire for Mordecai's character. But still, people tend to defend this moment, either saying that it's really hilarious and they like the cringe, or people defend Mordecai because Mordecai's just trying to find his way through life and it's realistic and it's just how relationships can be. But I'm getting sick of people trying to defend Mordecai by saying, oh, they're just trying to give us a realistic portrayal. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, me watching this, even if it helps you feel better in the world because somebody is going through something similar, I don't know how you could go through something like this, but even if it makes you feel better in the world, it doesn't mean that me watching this is enjoyable. People tend to mix up, you know, enjoyment with writing intent, because they're all like, well, it was written like this on purpose, so that means you should enjoy it because, you know, they intended for it to be cringy and weird and wrong. No, that's not going to make me enjoy it. That's not going to make me enjoy it at all. Enjoyment is when I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying where my character's arc is going. I'm glad that it feels full, and by the time we're all going into Season 7, I'm happy with Mordecai's character and where it's going, and I feel like he could redeem himself. But that's not what happens here. Dumped in the Altar just ruins Mordecai's character, and he never really feels better after this. But still, people somehow find a way to defend it and claim that it's a great moment for his character, and they love it, and they grab a cup and they just, huzzah, cheers to Mordecai and his many relationships. May he just find his path well. That's what people tend to do, and I just can't relate to that. I think Dumped at the Altar is one of the worst episodes in the show, and one of the most controversial for Mordecai's character. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I would like to say that even though I'm hoping that you argue in the comments, that doesn't mean that you should call anybody stupid, you should call anybody dumb. We're just talking about this for fun. Again, it is just a TV show, so don't really try to hate on anybody, but you can still have honest, good debates about everything and be all like, yeah, you're wrong, and explain why, and you can be like, yeah, you're wrong, and explain why, and we can just have fun with it, because that's the goal here. It's not to spread any hate, it's just to spread love for shows that help raise me. So yeah, really hope you enjoyed this video. I got lots of good stuff on the way. That's all I got. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.